Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Omari Kamal, and I am the Managing Director of Community Capital, Tax and Accounting. The name of this presentation is In the Black, 9 Principles for a Profitable Business. And before I get into the subject matter at hand, let me just start with a few words about me. I started my career as an investment analyst, and I did that for quite a number of years, and then mid-career, I transitioned to public accounting. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but this would actually open something up that was very unique and powerful for me. So, given that I worked at a very high level with both large companies and then at a very high level with small companies, the gift to me of that experience was that it showed me how small companies grow to become really big companies. And what I want you to know is that I got so inspired with this that in 2015, I helped to found Community Capital Tax and Accounting. My partners and I founded Community Capital with the thought in mind of helping our client partners to really see their value. You see, most small business owners, they understand assets and liabilities, they understand profits, losses, income, and expenses, but their value, their valuation, how it is to really turn their businesses into the cash machine that it has the potential to be. That's something that I discovered is profoundly missing in most of the people that we work with. So Community Capital was founded with that idea in mind, helping clients from the beginning begin to understand their value, both quantitatively as well as qualitatively. And if we could help them see that, then we can begin to create sensible plans around wealth building, retirement, legacy, the things that really matter to our clients. So our firm is unique in that we provide a comprehensive suite of financial management services that are available to small businesses at an affordable price. We perform bookkeeping, reporting, small business lending, tax consulting, strategic planning services. And you might say, wow, why do you do all that? Then the short answer is that we believe that it's needed. We found that the critical determinant for small businesses being able to profit and grow is to have a partner that helps them to navigate the areas that are most ignored before it's too late. So that's a little for who we are and what we're about. So again, this presentation in the Black 9 Principles for a Profitable Business. In this conversation, we hope to show you the heart of our business model as well as why we're so effective. So I invite you to ask yourself the question, are you making as much profit as you want to make? And I mean, that may seem like an obvious answer. I mean, I don't care how much money you're making. The answer is probably no. But just really look like how much then would be enough? So, really, that's really the context for the whole conversation we're about to have. How much profit is enough for you, and how do you know, really? So, a primary objective is to discuss profit building concepts that can make your business profitable or more profitable. Because I want you to leave this presentation over the next few minutes saying, it was worth your time for being here and you actually learned something, you took something away. So we're going to begin with the theory of it all, and then we're going to move into the practice, like from knowledge to what it would take to actually implement what we're talking about here. Now, with that said, some of you may be familiar with our firm, some of you may not be. Whatever the case, our primary role is to aid you as a small business owner or the manager in making your business more profitable and stable. And I'm going to share with you some resources that are certain to make your business a greater threat to your competition. Now, this is the same agenda that we use in our full day in the Black seminar. We do the seminar both in full day and half day sections, and there's not enough time for me to cover all the principles in detail in order to allow the action planning piece. So we're going to limit this conversation to some key concepts, and if you have any questions to fill in the gaps, just feel free to give us a call at any time. So the first area that we're going to cover is the wisdom pyramid. And this outlines the progression of concept to implementation that we walk all of our clients down. And then we go through the universal business model, which outlines essentially the context for how we look at each and every one of our clients and the absolutely critical things that they need to have in place in order to really build their businesses into next level enterprises. And then there are the nine principles that is the title of this presentation, that again sits on top of the wisdom pyramid and the universal business model. And this is essentially what gives us the mental map to work through any problem that we come up against in any business situation. And then we're going to talk about how to implement, and then we're going to review everything we talked about and move forward from there. Okay, so this is the wisdom pyramid. What do we mean by wisdom? Another word for wisdom is specialized knowledge. What do I mean by that? Specialized knowledge, we believe, is the most critical and understated aspect of business success. You see, specialized knowledge, if you've ever heard an old veteran of any sport or anything really say, I've forgotten more about this thing than you'll ever know. So it's like that. That's wisdom. That's like you know so much, and this is the kind of knowledge that you can't get from a book or you can't get a degree in. This is the only type of knowledge that can be attained through experience, making mistakes, correcting them in time enough to be useful, which is really important. So again, another word for wisdom is specialized knowledge. But if you think about it, wisdom occurs in all parts of our lives. You can think about a new mom with her first baby, and how she first puts that baby in her arms. She's so afraid because she doesn't know anything about how to raise a child. She sees children be raised before, but there's nothing like having one of your own. And then over time, she just sort of figures it out. And business is kind of like that, except that the odds aren't really in our favor for having things turn out. So, really our whole business is about how to switch the odds to be in our favor as entrepreneurs. And what we've discovered that makes the biggest difference in terms of how to really be able to attain wisdom in time enough to actually have it work for us is to start with data. You see there at the bottom of the pyramid. It all starts with raw data. And when you combine that data with in a useful format, it then becomes information, which is the second rung there. Okay, so then we can start to have information which would tell us things about potential directions that we can go and potential strategies that we can divine. And then when we interpret that information, it then becomes knowledge, which again gives us very clear directions on what will work and what won't work. And if we operate in that space for long enough, we'll then begin to develop a real sense for what's going to propel our business forward and what won't. And so all of this is to say is that the precursor to wisdom is always data. We always need data in order to develop business wisdom. And we all have examples of where we learned wisdom and knowledge from what first started off as data and information. How you function as a business owner or a manager depends on where you're at in the wisdom pyramid. So as an accountant, I see it demonstrated all the time. If you think about your checkbook, for example, you record your checks into deposit. That's data. But then when you keep a track, if you're running your balance, every time you write a check or every time you use your debit card and you update your balance, that's information where you can see where your balances are. And then you tally the individual accounts, you determine the sources and uses of your cash. Like, okay, where's my money coming from? That's knowledge. And then you decide at the end of the week if I should get that weekly pedicure. Is that worth the investment? No, I'm not going to do that. That's wisdom. So hiring a data entry clerk is only collecting the data, but not progressing. Anybody that fails to look at finances except in their tax return is going to take a long time to move up the wisdom pyramid. And this happens in every area. Your challenge is to move up the wisdom pyramid in all areas of your business, to be proactive, not just reactive. Michael Gerber described startups as being started by a technician having an entrepreneurial seizure. And if you are, and if you're not willing, or if you haven't considered what it would take to, again, move up the wisdom pyramid in this way, just consider that that's one of the areas where you've been caught in that technician mode. And this is what entrepreneurs need in order to really be entrepreneurs. Now, in our full day seminar, we'll stop and take some time to evaluate more intrinsically your current wisdom inventory. But for now, as you think about your own business experience in life, just ask yourself, where's your wisdom? If you were to expound on something about business that you really know about, what would that be? So more importantly, what steps do you need to take to achieve wisdom in other areas of business? So I just invite you to meditate on that as we go. Okay. So standing there, taking all that in, consider the major functions of your business. What do you think they would be? What would be the major functions of any business? And I'm not talking about the number of employees that you have, uh, or how many functions that you have to perform, but what are the major functions? There are three of them. The first one I would suggest to you is marketing. Okay, marketing is the responsibility for creating sufficient interest in your product or service, and that interest compels people to become customers. That's marketing. The next area is accounting. Accounting is the responsibility for tabulating, interpreting, and strategizing your financial progress. And the third area is production. Production, the responsibility for generating revenue. Okay? Of these three functions, accounting seems to be, from our observation, the most neglected of the three. In my experience, when most business owners start out, they they have a great product. They start off kind of at the bottom there with production. They have a great product, or they have a great service, and they think to themselves like, hey, I'm going to launch out on because I have this really great product or service. Now, if they've been in business for longer than a year or two, that would also suggest to me that they're also great marketers. They're great at marketing. So I call production doing the business, and I call marketing getting the business. And more often than not, small business owners go back and forth between the top and the bottom, marketing and production, getting the business, doing the business, getting the business, doing the business, getting the business, doing the business. And what they often forget is the middle piece, and what they're often the poorest at is accounting and finance, which I would suggest to you is running the business. But the acronym for this is MAP, M-A-P. When you get all of these three working together, you have what I call a map, a roadmap to having a successful business, but you need all three. You can't neglect any one if you're going to achieve the greatest heights of business success. So when you take those three elements and you put them in a diagram like the one you see here, we call this the universal business model. And when we look at this, we begin to determine, the issues of how well these elements are working alone. And because that's the first thing we have to determine, are these functions performing their individual function? And then once we've answered that question, the question then becomes, how well do they work together? Are they sharing information at regular intervals? Are they discussing upcoming changes? Can you have all three departments working separately in a world of their own? Sure you can. It happens every day. But can the business be profitable? Sure, the business can be profitable. But the business owner and the people involved won't know it. They could be more profitable, but they won't know that either. And what happens when you have two departments working together well at the exclusion of the third is that you have situations where, say, marketing and production are working together daily, but the accountants are never to be seen. Or you're producing and selling a boatload of product, but the cash flow is taking a dive. I'll give you an example. A banker asked a small manufacturer, what does it cost to produce one item? And it took an entire year to get that answer. That information was a turning point for that business, and now they're one of the largest manufacturers in their industry now. Now, what if production and accounting are working together, but marketing is doing their own thing? What would be the results there? Yeah. So look, you can come up with 1,000 different scenarios. You can you have a sole practitioner business and still have circles disconnected? Sure you can. Consider Michael Gerber's comments about technicians having entrepreneurial seizure. As we grow, the circles begin to move closer and closer together. And guess what grows as a result? That's right, the profit. Now, do you want these circles to coincide totally? Well, sure, within reason. Now, that happens when one well-balanced business owner that is high on the wisdom pyramid in all three areas is running the entire operation. And as the company grows and begins to departmentalize, you'll see the circles begin to separate. But the closer you keep them together, the more formidable you'll be as a competitor. Now, how do you apply the wisdom pyramid to those three major functions? Okay, so what we believe is using a principled approach. The issues that plague businesses are as varied and as unique and individual as the people who run them. So, we don't believe that there's ever a pat solution to any set of issues or any type of business plan that could be presented to us. Instead, we believe in using principles. Principles will drive the way every business operates. If we use a principled approach and profitability is the ultimate outcome, the principles of the path we take to arrive there. Success of the company depends upon adherence to these principles. And again, time doesn't permit a study of each of these principles in depth, but still I'll go through each of them with you, and we'll go through them together, okay? So when you look at marketing, accounting, and production, there are three principles in each of these areas: short-term, mid-term, and long-term. So in the world of marketing, the first principle is nothing happens until you make a sale, okay? One of my great mentors would have marketing meetings for the entire company. He'd bring everybody together, you know, the mechanics, the office staff, etc. Even the people that you wouldn't think had anything to do with marketing. Everybody was required to be in the know for marketing. Okay, so you have to know the individual steps of the sale in your business. Okay, so the next step is a deal is only good when it's good for both parties. Okay, so after you've determined your basic sales model, then you begin to inquire later into what does it mean to really have this deal be an absolutely obvious solution for anybody who fits these sort of categories, okay? And the long-term principle is grow your business geometrically. In the long term, from a marketing perspective, every business needs to look how to scale themselves and grow, okay? So those are the three principles in marketing. In accounting, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. Just like in real estate, the fundamental real estate principle of buying right is location, location, location. So it is in business. Cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. You want to make sure you have enough cash in order to make the moves and to make the investments early on that you need to make, okay? After you've established yourself from a cash flow standpoint, you really want to work to know your business, making sure that you have the data, information, the reports, and the resources to make sure that each one of your moves is planned and measured and that you're learning from each and every result that you get, okay? And then last one is plan for tomorrow, okay? Once your business has reached a steady state, we want to begin to create succession plans, create wealth plans, create estate plans, for the founder as well as for the executives as well as for the rest of the staff, because you want to make sure that not only is the owner and the founder prepared to make a move when that inevitable time comes, but that others are set up to move in his place or her place. Again, production is what you do to generate revenue. So in most cases, a sale occurs when the goods are delivered. Marketing facilitates production. Production is everything that goes on to deliver the product or service, okay? So first principle of production is pour on the communication. There's nothing more important in the short term than having regular open communication with your team. The next stage is improve your internal processes. Okay, very critical aspect of what there is to do. Make sure that your processes, your systems are intact, and that you have a system for every process in your business. And the long-term solution is take what you have and make it better. You never want to settle for good enough. Remember, good is the enemy of great. And you always want to be asking yourself as a business owner, how can we do this better? 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 Okay. All right, so these are the principles. Like I said, we don't have a lot of time to go into each of those individually, but feel free to take these apart and give us a call with any questions you have. But this is the general approach that we have to consulting with our clients, making sure that in the short term, not that we're making sales, that we're developing a system for ourselves, that we have enough cash flow to meet our immediate needs, and that we're in constant communication with the other groups, all within mind that that goal of profitability. Okay. So what's our mission? Our mission is to provide you as the business owner with useful information and direction to lower your taxes, increase your profits, grow your cash flow. That's what we're all about. That's our whole point. So lower your taxes. What do we mean by that? Well, to get into that, we have to talk first about tax planning versus tax preparation. I ask my clients all the time, what's the difference between tax planning and tax preparation? Well, the answer to the question is December 31st. Any type of planning we can do before December 31st. Anytime after December 31st, all we're doing is preparation. All we're doing is trying to make the best out of a random situation. So we try to avoid that in our client relationships as much as possible, because prior to December 31st, we can maximize deductions, discuss those, and make sure that we're taking full advantage of any cash options we have. And then after January 1st, then we make sure that everything is timely, that accurately and in a timely fashion prepare with all the state and federal guidelines. So no more penalties when you work with us, and you have a lot fewer problems and more help with any possible audits that may come up down the line. Okay, so increasing profits. The first income financial statement that we use to provide information and knowledge is the income statement. Okay, we want to look at which expenses are paying you back and which should be increased. We also want to look at which expenses should be cut back or eliminated altogether. We want to look at which products are profitable and which are not. We talk to our clients about which customers are profitable and which are not. Going further, we look at the balance sheet. We look at what our assets are, compare it with our liabilities, and then what is our overall equity position. And when we look at the balance sheet in conjunction with the income statement, we begin to create ratios that, again, provide us knowledge for how to manage our business with greater success. And once we've made these key comparisons to understand and manage trends, we can begin to look at our last month versus current month's growth. We can look at last quarter versus current quarter growth or decline. We can look at our year-to-date numbers versus the month to see if we're on track to hitting our longer term goals. We look at our current month, the same month last year, to see what seasonal trends we may be taking advantage of or at the effect of. We look at the current quarter versus same quarter, same thing. Now, with all of that, how do we put these principles into something that's workable? We have over 20 key financial ratios that we report to our clients on a monthly basis in the world of liquidity, efficiency, operating, financing, profitability. And we also assess strengths and weaknesses, and we benchmark all of those numbers against industry averages for similar businesses. And these steps are moving you up the wisdom pyramid. As you gather the data and assemble it into information, it'll help determine causes, which is knowledge. Why solutions to the problems can be created when actual causes are identified and understood. Last one is cash flow. Here are the principles with cash flow. We ask for money before we need it. We build reserve accounts. We accelerate our receivables. We manage spending. We manage credit. We eliminate unnecessary charges and bank fees. So it seems like a small thing, but I can't explain to you the power, the necessity, and the importance of having a simple conversation every month to review your strategy, talk through ideas, vent, research concepts, make connections with other folks in the business community. So ultimately, everything that we do comes down to this. You know, this is essentially how we improve your business over time. We start with the raw data, and we use that to provide information. And from the information, we get analysis or knowledge. From the analysis of knowledge, we get context, meaning, wisdom. And from a point of wisdom, a place of wisdom, we make decisions and we determine action plans. And then we implement them, and with whatever results we get, we measure those, and we're right back where we started from. And as this cycle turns, as this wheel turns, it gets faster and faster, and our profit grows and grows and grows. So this is our commitment to our clients and what we do for them and how we are so effective at what we do. And oftentimes, you know, we get the question of, well, how much does this stuff cost? How much is this going to be for me? And what we say to our clients is that, you know, it really doesn't cost you anything. I mean, there's a small monthly fee associated with it, but ultimately, good accounting pays you back. One, for missed opportunities. I mean, this is the part that you can't quite measure, but your time, lost revenue, mistakes are just, you know, not there. You know, it saves you money, makes you money, and ultimately you get peace of mind. So if you could in some way put a value to that, you'd find that it doesn't cost you anything. It's something that you absolutely can't go without. So ultimately, this is the beginning of what it takes to really work in your business versus on your business. So when you add up all of the missed opportunities, when you add up all of that you'll now not have to miss any longer, when you add up all of the bank fees and the penalties with the tax office, or the stress and the headache that you have to deal with by not having your numbers in order, all of that stuff more than pays any fee that we come up with. Okay. But ultimately, why us though? Why would you want to work with us? Convenient. We're mostly online based, although we're completely accessible. So we make working with us really easy. We're extraordinarily affordable. We have plans starting at $100 a month, and we take very special care to make sure that all of our fees are within a range that can really work for you. Okay, we're knowledgeable, we're goal oriented. Our complete orientation is towards having your business be successful. Okay, and we're profit oriented, like we've been discussing. So we'd love to meet you. We'd love to talk to you. Feel free to check out our website, and on that site, you'll see a schedule now link that you can click and schedule a time to meet with us. Or you can give us a call at 888-227-8790 and speak with one of our representatives. Our office, for your information, is 5113 South Harper. So if you'd like to meet with us personally, you're more than welcome to do that. But until then, we look forward to hearing from you. And any questions you have, please just give us a call or send us a message online.